Hey everyone, no one can know for sure what the future is going to hold, but some current inventions can give us at least a glimpse into what the future might look like. Inventions have always had the power to change the future, and some inventions have had such a prolific impact on the world that it's impossible to imagine the world without them. Join us for today's video. We're going to explore the top 15 most amazing inventions that will change the future. Number 15. Invisibility cloaks. Stepping into the realm of sci-fi and fantasy, this next amazing invention has ignited imaginations for centuries. What if we could become invisible? Well, invisibility cloaks have always been the stuff of fiction, but it turns out we're a little closer than you might think to having the ability to turn ourselves invisible. No, we haven't figured out how to use magic. These cloaks utilize science. These invisibility cloaks would center around something called metamaterials, which are metal dielectric composites engineered on the nanoscale. Basically, the composite structure acts as an array of artificial atoms, enabling electromagnetic radiation to pass freely around an object. The material guides light around something, creating an illusion that the object isn't really there. Scientists from Duke University created an invisibility cloak using metamaterials in 2006. It didn't completely make an object invisible to the human eye, but it was a giant leap forward in this technology. Years later, a team from Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corporation in Canada developed something they called quantum stealth. It's a patented prototype material that's being developed for military use. The material could be used to hide things like jets and tanks in combat, as well as military personnel. Videos and pictures of quantum stealth technology are pretty unbelievable and speak to the future of invisibility cloaking. Number 14. Flying jets. Just like something straight out of a scene from the Jetsons, it might not be long before we're flying around in cars too. Personal flying vehicles have already been invented. SkyDrive, for example, is an emission-free, ultra-quiet, compact personal vehicle that looks so futuristic it looks like it belongs on another planet. It's still in the prototype stages though, but the idea is that this little vehicle can transport you or goods more quickly and efficiently than road-bound vehicles. It can fly autonomously or with a pilot and has a maximum speed of about 100 kph and a flying altitude of about 500 meters. And along with simple personal pleasure, this flying vehicle has some other significant applications. It could, for example, be used in emergency situations. Instead of being at the mercy of roads or traffic, flying vehicles could quickly transport paramedics and patients without any holdups. It could also travel easily to places that cars can't, which could be especially useful for rescue missions. So, how close are we to driving in the skies? Well, SkyDrive showcased their prototype at the CES 2022, and the prototype was called SDO3, and they intend to use that model as an air taxi. They also intend to have the next iteration, the SDO5, ready for the 2025 World Expo. So please fasten your seatbelts and ensure that your tables are in their upright positions because we might be skybound sooner than you think. Number 13. Floating farms. As cities continue to grow, the invention of floating farms offers a way for people to get fresh produce and other products without taking up valuable space within the cities. The first floating farm is located in Rotterdam, and it's a fresh floating dairy farm. There are 40 cows that live on the farm, and the milk and other dairy products is processed right on site. The farm was created by Peter and Minka van Wingegaarden, and the idea is to use residual products from cities like food waste and cut grass from parks. It will also cut down food transportation because the floating farms are close to the cities, unlike rural farms, which are often pretty far. Both will in turn cut down on the carbon footprint of food production and transportation. Now, these floating farms will also utilize solar energy via solar panels, as well as rainwater. These farms could be built on any type of water, including nearby lakes and oceans. And furthermore, they can include not just dairy farms, but most types of agriculture. And their close proximity to the cities they feed could reduce the cost to consumer. So perhaps it would allow people to eat fresher, healthier foods. Floating farms, they're an amazing invention that speak to the future of sustainable agriculture. And they really have the potential to change the face of farming. Plus, they look really cool too. Number 12. 3D printed food. 3D printing is an invention that's already changing the world, and we're still exploring the realms of what we can do with this amazing technology. But when it comes to significant applications for 3D printing, printed food is an amazing invention that has the potential to change the world as we know it. In fact, it already is changing the world, as 3D printed food is popping up in restaurants. Currently, we're pretty limited in what foods we can print. Paste-like inputs such as mousses, chocolate ganache, purees, mashes, doughs, and soft cheeses. The process is the same as with anything 3D printed. The soft material is fed into a syringe-like container, and then the mixture is extruded from a nozzle that moves around and traces a shape to form 2D layers, one at a time. 3D printed food is really only used in gourmet restaurants right now as a cool novelty menu item, but this type of 3D printing is still in its infancy. The benefits are plentiful. It allows for normally unappetizing foods to look aesthetic and therefore more appealing. Nutrient and vitamin-rich foods like insect puree could be presented in a beautiful way, so instead of eating insects still in insect form, or even worse, insect mush, they could be printed into an intricate and lovely little insect candy. And 3D printing food allows for a level of precision that the human hand simply can't meet, so you can print up some pretty complex and wild food this way. And of course, it is far less labor-intensive than actually preparing the food. It's hard just to say how much of an impact 3D food printing will have, but it's safe to say that it will have some sort of impact, even if it's just making healthy, but gross-looking foods more appetizing. Number 11. Self-driving cars. For those of us that spend hours of our precious time in daily commutes, we know all too well that the struggle is real. Inching along bumper to bumper, literally just wasting time stuck behind the wheel. What if we could better use that time? You've likely heard of self-driving cars by now. Tesla's already developed a complex autopilot mode. But the reality is self-driving cars are still very much in development stages. The concept is that passengers will be able to enjoy a commute or car ride because they'll be free to read, binge a Netflix series, or even sleep. If you're a commuter, what could you do with the time in your car if you didn't have to drive? There are also some other benefits to self-driving cars, such as a reduction in accidents due to human error. Self-driving cars come with a whole slew of questions, though, most of them safety-related, which is why they are still a work in progress. But once all the kinks are worked out and the self-driving cars become the norm, well, needless to say that this amazing invention will impact our daily lives that we can't even fully comprehend yet. Number 10. Banana vaccines. The theory behind banana vaccines is pretty simple. They're bananas that have been genetically engineered to carry vaccines. Alright, so why do they have the potential to change the future? Well, because they could be an extremely inexpensive way to provide life-saving vaccines to children in third world countries. Biotechnologists at the Boyce Thompson Institute for Plant Research have found a way to genetically engineer a banana to produce the antigen found in the outer coat of the hepatitis B virus. Now, traditional doses of vaccines can cost between $100 and $200 a dose, but banana vaccines can be made for as little as a few cents per dose. Furthermore, bananas are typically already grown in the countries that would need them the most, so growing them wouldn't be a problem. So just how influential could banana vaccines be? Well, just 10 hectares of banana vaccines would be enough to vaccinate all the children in Mexico under 5. That's mind-boggling. And of course, the bananas could be genetically engineered to have different vaccines. But it doesn't just stop there. The vaccines could be served as a puree, and since it would be eaten, it eliminates any risk of medical mistakes like vaccine injuries. Basically, the vaccines wouldn't need to be administered by licensed professionals because there's no needles involved. So they're not only a game changer in third world countries, they could also be used for children all over the world, since I'm pretty sure a child would choose a spoonful of banana puree over a needle any day. I know I would. Number 9. Emotional artificial intelligence. The world of artificial intelligence is a complex and often contentious subject. For some, it conjures up images of a complete robot takeover. For others, it promises an innovative and exciting future. But no matter which side of the spectrum you're on, one thing is guaranteed. Artificial intelligence is now and will continue to be an important part of our world. Now, we already have AI in all sorts of things: social media, vacuum cleaner robots, humanoid robots, and something called emotional artificial intelligence. Otherwise known as effective AI, it claims to breach the gap most often associated with AI: human emotion. Effective AI collects data from voices, faces, and body language. It then uses that data to measure human emotions. So what does this mean? Well, it's still in the early stages, but MIT Media Lab, for example, is creating a wearable device that can determine the mood of a person and then release different scents to help soothe or calm that person. And while that doesn't in and of itself sound exactly like a game changer in the scope of the world, the fact that we're dipping into a type of AI focused on human emotions opens the door for a seemingly endless world of possibilities. Will we be able to teach robots how to feel? Just how human will humanoid robots become? I guess only time will tell. Number 8. Flexible display, foldable electronics. It seems that when it comes to smartphones, or really any other type of electronics, the landscape is always changing. Companies and manufacturers are in a constant race to come up with the latest and greatest inventions. Flexible displays are a new invention that have the potential to change how we use, carry, and view our electronics. Well, now basically flexible displays, or rollable displays as they're sometimes called, allow users to roll up the screen, much like a scroll, without distorting the image. The technology could be applied to a variety of electronics, from televisions to laptops to smartwatches. With phones, for an example, people don't want anything too big because then it's too bulky to carry, but they don't want anything too small because the display is too hard to see. So if they could fold or roll up the screen for easy carrying and then unroll it when they want to use it, well, that would just open up a whole new world when it comes to electronic portability. And it's not just flexible displays that are being invented. There are also stretch screens and folding ones too. Many of these are still in the prototype stage, but given the speed at which electronic advancements go, it likely won't be long before you can take your device out of your pocket and unfold, unroll, or stretch it out to catch up on emails or browse your social media. Number 7. Pod taxis. Tired of waiting and waiting to flag down a cab? Annoyed at having to squish beside another person on public transit? Frustrated that your bus always seems to be caught up in rush hour traffic? Well, here's a solution. Pod taxis, or personal rapid transit, is an invention that makes traveling quickly in highly populated areas fast and fun. The pods are built above ground so users can travel through the air. This way, they can circumvent busy roads. They are driverless and fully automated, and they're designed to carry 4 to 6 people at a time. Plus, the fact that they're pretty cool looking doesn't hurt the appeal of these little pod taxis. Furthermore, they're going to run on solar power or other renewable energy sources, so they're also environmentally friendly and sustainable. From a cost point, they will cost 1/10 of an ordinary car to run, although how much they will cost to ride is still up in the air, pun intended. They will produce less pollution with no traffic problems, and in good weather they can travel at speeds of around 60 kilometers an hour and will be anywhere from 5 to 10 meters off the ground. Once installed, pod taxis are going to change how people travel, especially in busy cities. Number 6. Drones. Ding dong, it's Amazon, and this package was brought to you by your friendly neighborhood drone. The invention of drones in and of themselves has been a game changer. Not only have they kept countless young children occupied, and adults who are children at heart, when they're used as a toy, but their many applications are still being explored. Agriculture drones, for example, can count the produce in effective ways and collect other important information for farmers. Drones are being used for mapping purposes too, and for exploring areas that are inaccessible like caves. They've got military uses like reconnaissance, and yes, they have delivery capabilities too. In fact, drones can carry medical supplies to people where roads can't, which could be especially useful in emergency situations. They could also carry packages, making deliveries of products quick and easy, although the logistics of that is still in the works. In any case, drones are a pretty cool invention, and it will be interesting to see how we use them in the future. Number 5. Exoskeletons, aka superhero gear. When Hyundai launched a prototype of their exoskeleton suit, it garnered a lot of media attention. Why? Because it's like a wearable robot. But Hyundai's not the only company to invent exoskeletons. There are plenty around, although most are still in prototype stages. Now, basically, the idea behind exoskeletons is that you wear them to make something easier, like a job or a task. They can increase mobility for elderly people or for anyone who has limited mobility, and they can allow the user to carry heavier loads than the user would normally be able to carry. They can make hard labor easier, which can reduce injury for the user. But that's not all they can do. These Iron Man-like exoskeletons can collect data from the user, such as knowing how well the user is walking. The suit can then use that data and apply it to make walking even easier. This is just one example of the type of data that a suit could collect. And yeah, there are some exoskeletons that have jetpacks, allowing the user to propel themselves through the air. These could also potentially have military uses too, since they can be built to withstand a number of affronts, like bullets. They could even be heat resistant. Some researchers are looking into exoskeletons as a way to help paralyzed people walk. Often called robot suits, exoskeletons are still in their fairly early stage. But as you can see, once they become more mainstream, they'll help people overcome mobility challenges, reduce injuries, and even protect military personnel or police. That, and they might allow people to fly. Number 4. Solar power. Solar roof shingles. I'd be amiss if I didn't include solar power in this video as an invention that will change the future. Now granted, solar power and its plethora of applications has already changed our present, but it's still got a long way to go, which is why companies are inventing new and innovative ways to use solar energy as we continually strive to find ways for cleaner energy. Some inventions piggyback off previous ones, so solar panels are a major invention in their own right and have already changed the world. But solar roof shingles takes the concept and makes it more accessible and appealing. And since it's more appealing, it has the potential to entice more people to use it, which means that more people will convert to clean energy. Solar roof shingles were introduced by GAF Energy, and once installed, they look a lot like regular roof shingles. But the idea behind the invention is that a lot of people will switch to solar energy, but those big, bulky panels are just too much of an eyesore to a lot of people. The panels are very easy to install and can withstand really harsh weather. Now, something as simple as solar roof shingles might now rival the wow factor of other entries in this video, but anything solar energy related will change the future. Solar, wind, and hydro energy innovations and inventions will all go hand in hand as we look towards a cleaner and greener tomorrow. So solar panels might not seem that groundbreaking, but sometimes it's the simplest inventions that pack the most punch. Imagine what life was like before umbrellas, or Velcro, or storage bins. One day, hopefully, we'll be wondering what life was like without solar energy. Number 3. Edible food packaging. Packaging does create a lot of waste, since most things we buy come in all sorts of packaging. The war on plastic has already begun in a lot of major cities, with outright bans on plastic bags and straws. But this is apparently only the beginning, as some companies are looking to create edible food packaging. Now, we simply can't eliminate packaging altogether, since it serves a pretty important purpose. It keeps food contained and protected from bacteria, for example. But what if instead of packaging things in toss-away non-biodegradable substances, we could instead package products in stuff that we could eat? Edible food packaging is exactly as it sounds. It's a type of packaging that can be eaten or that can be efficiently biodegraded after use. Edible cups, for example, that are lined with a heat-resistant chocolate may have already been experimented with in some fast food chains. Packaging made from milk proteins and used as a casein, and that actually help keep food fresher according to some sources, are also being tested. These special wrappers look a lot like plastic, but are more effective at blocking oxygen than plastic. They have no flavor, but flavors could easily be added to them, and other companies like Wikifoods have developed an edible fruit-like casing to put food in. The skin can be broken open like the skin of a fruit. They could work with a lot of different foods, like yogurt, for example. The skin is thin, like the skin of a grape or an apple, and could encase not just yogurt, but other cold foods like ice cream. The advantages to edible food packaging are obvious. We could eliminate a lot of waste if we could eat our packaging. There are, of course, some drawbacks like heat resistance and consumer resistance. Some people wonder how sanitary this type of packaging would be. However, with more time, more technology, and a lot more research, there's the very real possibility that edible food packaging could very well replace a lot of traditional packaging, which would be an uncontested win for the environment. Number 2. Nanobots. The field of robotics is constantly coming up with cool and amazing inventions, some of which are entertaining, some of which can reduce repetitive tasks, and some of which are questionable on the ethical front. However, nanobots, which are robots in the micro and nanometer range, they could change the face of medicine and healthcare. These tiny robots have limitless potential. They could be used to possibly detect or destroy cancer cells, administer medicine internally in our bodies, and even repair our organs. Nanobots are amazing inventions because of their size. Now, traditional medicine needs to travel through the body to reach that which it's intended to help, but nanobots target the cell. They can also be used for areas of the body that don't get enough oxygen, like the eyes and heart, by producing oxygen singlets to improve blood circulation. And electric microchips in a nanobot can combine with human tissues during incisions to help healing. In the future, it's believed that nanobots will further be developed to perform medical procedures by traveling inside our bodies. This would be far less invasive than traditional surgeries, far less painful, and way more cost-effective. They could also be used for chemically testing viruses and preventing the spread of diseases because they could be loaded with biosensors that could detect even the slightest hint of a virus. Other applications include scanning for cancer, neuroimaging in CAT scans or MRIs, and in vitro fertilization. And this only includes the things that we've already thought of. The technology is still being explored and developed, so there'll be many, many more applications in the future. Number 1. Edible water blobs. We've been warned, we've been scolded, we've been told countless times in no uncertain terms that we're literally killing our planet. And while there are many major culprits, we're looking at you fossil fuels, one of the biggest is our overuse of plastic. The Pacific Garbage Patch is a bit of a testament to this, and if you don't know what that is or have never seen it, then hopefully images of it will show you just how important it is for us to ditch the plastic. Now, plastic does come in a lot of shapes and forms: packaging, diapers, straws, bags, etc. And there's no denying their contribution to the mess we're in as a species. However, when it comes to irresponsible use of plastic, one type reigns supreme, and that is single-use water bottles. Let me give you some stats that really drive this point home. Just in the United States, 38 billion plastic water bottles wind up in landfills or the ocean every year. Now, we've been told not to use, or at least try to limit our use of single-use plastic water bottles, but honestly, we really haven't done much. Seems people really like drinking water from something disposable. So what are we to do? How can we solve this problem? Enter an invention that has the potential to change so much in our world: edible water blobs. Now, they might not sound like much, they might even sound a little silly, but rest assured these little blobby water-filled babies have the potential to pack a real punch when it comes to plastic reduction. Also known as the Uhu, a name no less silly sounding, they are completely biodegradable and edible. The membrane is made from a brown algae and calcium chloride. It's squishy and jelly-like, and if you're not a fan of brown algae, then don't want to eat it. It will completely decompose in 4 to 6 weeks. Right now, water blobs are only being used for water, but the casing has the potential to hold any liquid inside of it, including soda pop and booze. Plus, it's even cheaper to make than plastic. Affordable, biodegradable, edible, water blobs could very well solve our potable water plastic problems once and for all, which is why edible water blobs have earned the top spot on this list of the top 15 most amazing inventions that will change the future.